All right, welcome to the second day of our Tech Talks. To start the day off, we have Madhu, Bramharouthu, who has been working in the computer industry for the past 25 years as an engineer, technical product marketing, and as a product manager. He'll briefly go over a process of how Intel defines server product requirements before design engineers start developing a product.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And I really appreciate you kids being here. I'm sure you would love to be in your class than listening to boring presentation with a bunch of PowerPoints. And that's the last thing I want to do today. I prefer to have this presentation more of interactive, ask me questions, more than me just going through the files, okay? Given said that, I'll still go through the slides, but ask me questions. Again, a few things I'd like to share today. My background is engineering. I have mechanical engineering, then I did computer science, and then MBA later on. I'm not going to go through my journey, but I'm going to go through the product journey, the life of the product. Anything you do in your life, where does it start and how does it end? And I'm going to touch only the key points of that. I'm not going to go through the entire life of that, but I want to give you the basic fundamentals, the foundation of anything that you do in life. Even though I talk about the computer product, but when you look at the foundation, it's the same thing in life, anything that you do. So that's what I'm going to touch today. And that's where I want you to ask me questions. So, like Justin said, I have been working in the computer industry for about 25 years now. I did my engineering and then went into the computer industry, worked as a technician, then later on as an engineer, then marketing and product management. And during this product management job, I had an opportunity to work on a product. What I really want to do is I want to pass this on. I want you kids to touch and feel it, what this is, okay? Anybody wants to volunteer here and then take this around? Anyone, any volunteers? Okay. So look at this as your mobile phone, okay? I'll go over some of the features on that, how we do it. So that's pretty much what I really want to touch base today. Everything you do in life, first you would explore, whether it's a service, it's a product, or it's a phone that you're trying to buy. It's a smartphone, right? You go and explore the different options. Then you go and do the planning. How much it's going to cost me? Where would I go and buy that? Things like that, right? You do various planning. And then you try to build, how to get there. Let's say, for example, you don't drive. You need somebody to drive you to the store, right? You need a parent, a friend, or somebody to drive there. Finally, you go and buy it, right? That's your deployment. And then you use it for, 2 months, 1 month, and then the phone goes dead, and that's your end of the product. And then the cycle continues. And that's pretty much it. When you look at the life cycle of anything in life, it's the same thing, even with the server product. We spend quite a bit of time actually in the pre-exploration and exploration. So let me walk you through based on the board that's going around. So we look at the current product line that we have in our portfolio. Okay, same thing with you. Let's say, you have a smartphone right now. You look at, okay, I don't have 20 meg of Maybe I should look at the camera, the phone that has, higher megapixels, things like that, right? So that's the exploration, which is where we spend anywhere from 2 to 5 years of just exploring what opportunities are out there in the market. Okay? We look at what we have, and then we go talk to the customers. We go meet them around the world, not just in US or not just on the phone. We go meet them in person and understand each customer product line and also what we have and what the opportunities are. Sometimes if you are the leader, let's say for example, one of you have really excellent camera, right? Other people will come to you and say, hey, what features do you have? Help me out, understand what you have or what I should get. Those are the things, right? And that people look for Intel to help them understand where is the market going, what products should I be bringing to the market, things like that. So that happens quite a bit in the exploration phase. And then in the planning phase, then we go look at, okay, what products do I want to plan? That's where you start capturing the requirements at a high level. And that's where I, as a product manager, comes in and start documenting every feature at a high level. Of course, I'm not an engineer or architect anymore. I'm just an engineer trying to capture in plain English what features should we be putting into this new product. So the board that you're seeing, for example, there are 4 main sockets on that board. I don't know if you have observed it. So let's take that technology out of that board and let's look at our own brain, right? There are 4 sockets in there, where 4 CPUs goes into that. Let's compartmentalize your brain to that. 4 parts to your brain. The one part is Snapchat or Google Chat or things like that going on in your brain. You go, hey, what's Jen is doing or what John is doing, kind of thing. So that processor will be processing that part of it. The other part of the socket, one more CPU, could be what classes should I be in, what homework should I be doing, things like that. So that's another processing that's going on there, right? And you look at the third one, my mom must be worrying, what did I eat for today? Kind of a processing. So that's another one, right? And finally, your after-school activities, tennis or racquetball or track and field, things like that, right? So various activities. So when you look at the board, so everything you do planning-wise, anything, foundation is pretty much the same. What are the things that you're trying to do with that product or a service, and how do you divide them the most efficient way? So that's how we try to plan, and of course you kids also do the same thing, right? It's just that each field, each product, each service is differently. And I'm going to pick a volunteer here. I want them to tell me how do they start their life every day in the morning. So any volunteers can walk me through, how do they plan their day life? Any volunteers? Here. Just give me a couple of things that you do, and then I'll try to connect that with the product life cycle. Give me a couple things.
Tying shoes every time I get up.
There you go. And what else? The day. How do you plan your day?
I just roll with it.
What's that?
I normally just roll with it.
There you go. That's a plan. So he has a very easy life to start with. I assume that every kid's life is that way. You don't want to plan, don't you? You want something else to do. And in this case, computers are there for you. Why do you have to worry about it, right? That's your plan. Or your brain is there to take care of it. So let me walk you through some of the details. I know you may not go into the details, right? Okay, what do I do at 9 o'clock? What do I do at 10 o'clock? You don't need to worry about it because life just goes on. Whereas when you're developing a product, you need to say, okay, what exactly do I want in that board? Every connector, even the position of it, where exactly the position has to be so it works efficiently. So you don't have to worry about that, right? So like I said, each of the phases, there are multiple things that happen. First I mentioned, you need to understand what exactly are you trying to do, which is our pre-exploration. That's where all the planners spend 3 to 5 years of their time trying to understand what is my opportunity, what products do I do. Same thing with your kids. Let's say in 8th, 9th grade onwards, you might start thinking, what do I want to do in life? Some of you, well, of course I didn't. I didn't even know what I want to do until I was in 10th, 11th grade, right? But in the product or service that you're trying to develop, there's a lot of time is spent by the planners, the architects, and everyone. What is it that we need to bring to the market? And then during the exploration phase, that's where people like me, the product managers, get in, into the task force meetings where we talk to the planners. Okay, tell me what opportunities are out there. Then there is a handshake between the planners, architects, and product managers. Then we take that information from plain Word document English into start documenting the requirement documents. Okay, and that's what I'm going to touch. I'm not going to go through the entire life cycle of the product and what all the things go through this development. And during the planning, again, we get into the details of each and every requirement. For example, is this a requirement a high priority or a lower priority? We give priority 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes, let's say, for example, Samsung is developing the phone, right? They look at Apple, they look at LG, and see, okay, what are the features that they are bringing to the market, or what features they might be bringing into the market. They look at that and say, you know what, I like to have every possible feature, but then again, I need to come to the market quickly. What are the key things that people like you would care in that phone? Those are the things they try to get it quickly and then be the first to the market. You may not need all of them, but you need to have something that really people like, and you need to get it quickly. You need to be the first to the market. Then only you can market the product. Otherwise, if you're late, somebody else comes in, they take over the market. So those are the things. So you prioritize the requirements. And then finally, not only the priority, and also you need to look at technical feasibility of these features, right? Some of the features do work, some don't. You may not see all of them. During the testing phase, these features sometimes have compatibility issues, backward compatibility, or within that, when you're testing it, you'll find issues that may not work. So you do trade-offs. Okay, do I want to live with this issue and not launch this product, or do I want to slip the product, get this feature in? Those are the things you need to constantly think through. So you define the requirements. Is it must-have or nice-to-have? And finally, of course, you go and develop the product, launch it. Any questions so far? Oh, come on, there's got to be some question. There. Let me come there. I thought you had a question.
Yeah, I had a question. So what was Avi like as a baby?
What? Oh, like a baby? You would love to play with cars, car toys. So. Any other question? I'm not going to go read the entire requirements. Again, I've mentioned it. Requirements is nothing but anything you do in life. Actually, you may know it or you may not know it. Your brain is processing in these terms. It's just that we put more words to it. But otherwise, everything you do in life, the first thing you start in the morning to before you go to bed, your brain is always processing. And we just put more things into that technology terms, what exactly happens. In this case, like I mentioned, every requirement, it has to have a unique identifier. The reason you need to have unique identifier is, so when you're developing the product, and then you can go and tie those requirements to that unique identifier and say, you know what, I said I'm going to deliver, let's say, 10 meg of a picture in my phone, right? And when during the testing, you take a picture and then you go and measure the pixels and everything, and you say, did I get the quality that I said I'm going to get? So that's the thing. You need to go tie that back, what you have tested, to the requirements, and then you say pass or fail. So it has to be a uniquely identified, and all the requirements are broken out into a unique, small requirements. Okay? And they have to be clearly described so anyone can understand what that requirement is. There is absolutely no ambiguity on what that requirement is and how it should function. And then I've already mentioned the priority, right? There are nice to have, and there are some must have. You have to have. Without that, you cannot launch the product. And there are situations where people say, hey, I'm going to launch this product, let's say, during the Christmas time. And sometimes things don't work, and they have to slip, and things happen. And finally, during the product development, all the requirements that you write to the features that you have tested, you should always have peer reviews. And I think even in basketball, I've seen, even in high school, there are kids who sit and watch just how the game is flowing, including your opponents, right? You write down, and then you go back and share with your team, you review it. Okay, this is what I've observed. Is that what happened in the game? Things like that. And then you improve the game. Same thing with the requirements when we write down. We have a lot of peer reviews because one person's understanding of a feature may not be the same as what it's supposed to be. So you have peer reviews. You do with 2 or 3 different people, not just in the development, but you also have these requirements reviewed by the test engineers, by the product managers, things like that. So various other functionalities. So making sure everyone's understanding of this feature is same as what it's supposed to be. So those are the main things of a requirement. So a good requirement, writing down a good requirement is very important for any product, service, or anything that you do in life. It's a lot of words here. Again, I didn't do a good job of, usually I like to put pictures in there, but in this case I put a lot of words. I'll be happy to send this to you kids. But otherwise, whatever I've said so far, which is what I've documented here, every feature has to be analyzed in detail and has to be validated before a product comes out. And every requirement has to be tested, and you should be able to trace it back to the basic definition of that requirement. And finally, you launch the product. I know I'm getting close to the time. Any questions so far? I have, another 5 minutes. I'd like to have more Q&A questions, if you can ask me. And the couple of other slides I have, it's how a requirements document should be written. I'm sure, actually, I shouldn't be telling you, you guys are really smart. You guys know what you're doing. And I'm just showing you what we do in the work life, right? It should be the same thing as what you already document in your projects that you submit to the teachers. So, but otherwise, the requirement documents go from 0.1 version to the final version, which is 1.0. And usually, when we write the requirements document, when we do the reviews, we have multiple people who go and review this document, right? Preliminary draft, I've created it, and then other reviews are done by different people. And final review, I said, you kids will review my final document. There we go, that's sunset, my final review. And then that's it. Any questions? I can barely see. Oh, come on, you guys have to have questions.
Right here.
Oh, there's.
So, what was that motherboard about? The motherboard over there?
Motherboard, that's a 4-socket server motherboard. The price of that, when populated with memory, CPU, hard drives, in a system could cost about $50,000. About $50,000. And You can run multiple virtual machines. These days, every server runs virtualization. I don't know how many of you have spent in technology. I'm sure you have. But each VM, you can run multiple users of these cell phones. You can run like literally hundreds and thousands of users. Data can be processed by that motherboard. So for this entire school, for all the things that you do, that one system could be enough. For all the things that you do at Sunset, should be enough. So it's a very powerful, just the memory alone on that system is about 1.5 terabytes of memory goes on, supported on that system. Just the memory, 1.5 terabyte. It's a very expensive system. Any other question?
What do you think the hardest of these steps is?
Hardest of the steps. I would say the team dynamics. Because technology, it's a natural thing for you kids. You kids do an amazing job. I see my neighbor, actually we have a robotics club in our neighborhood. Some of the kids are here. I'm not going to name them. But we as a mentor, we learn from them. Mentors are there only to drive them around and bring them food, but otherwise they know a lot more. So technically, there is nothing that you cannot do. It's pretty much the fundamentals, which is what you're learning here. People talk about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Actually, somebody said really nicely at last week World Robotics Tournament, which we were there. They said it's STEAM. It's science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics, because arts is equally important. When you talk about arts, it's everything, humanities, you name it, right? The fundamentals are same. Everything is, if you have that, which is what you're learning here, if you have that solid fundamentals, which is what you're learning, trust me, you'll be very successful in life. And that's exactly what you're doing, and that's how I would address. It's the team dynamics. Make sure you're able to work with another individual, because each person is different. Understanding that person's perspective is very important when you're developing or doing anything in life. But otherwise, everything is possible in life. Any other question? Okay. If not, hey, you kids are really, really smart and you're in the right place. Go Apollos.